How we doing, everyone? Mark Joe Szymanski, owner, founder of Find It Tech, here with you today. This is part two of our video about the website care plan table and everything. In the first part of it, we talked all about for a long time, we talked about the business application, some tips that I had for you, some just thoughts to get your mind going, revolving around whether or not you should actually do this. And now, if you've made the decision to do this, we're going to talk about how I actually built this page, which is relatively straightforward. It's just Elementor Pro, JetEngine, maybe a little bit of dynamic visibility. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about that now. Okay, so how we built this. And again, we're not going to completely rebuild it. I apologize. Don't get mad at me. I know a lot of you guys like extreme step-by-step. I'm not rebuilding this right now. I'm going to tell you exactly how. I'm going to show you the templates and everything like that and how this all came to be and all, the things that I did. And again, probably more tips, to make parts of this even cooler. And I want to give you the context technically now, right? So when I did this, the reason I did it the way that I did it is there's options. Option number one is you could just find any random table builder, even the JetEngine table builder, and you can just physically go through and you could create like a table. So this would be row, one or whatever. Possibly, or even this would be row one, but in this case, this is row one. We'll come back to that. Let's just make it easy for this example that I'm giving you here. Maybe you've built a table in WordPress before with, I've used other ones in the past, maybe like one of them, Elementor. It's funny that Elementor doesn't have like a table builder in it at all. So there's like a couple of those add-ons, different plugins that you can use that they have a table widget, right? And you can go through and it's kind of like those little drop downs in the Elementor widget panel thing where it's like, you create or duplicate or add a new one or whatever, and you can have multiple things, and then you slide like rows and columns in or whatever. And if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, that could kind of be a pain in the ass. And not only that, when you start to get a lot of stuff in any of those, if you're familiar with Elementor and you've ever used like an icon list, those little individual like list items in the Elementor thing, I don't know if you've ever had a lot of those, but Elementor gets so slow. Like even if you're trying to load like a lot of pictures or whatever in like a gallery, Elementor, the back end, gets really slow when you're doing that. So it just becomes a real pain in the ass. This method is different, and this method is more dynamic and is just way better if you actually do want to go this route, in my opinion. I will say this as well. Everything that I do is from the dynamic place. Like I don't even like what I like to do generally is design something in the Elementor builder, right? But design it in such a way that if I'm okay with the design, like if I don't have to change anything about the way this is like mobile and everything like that, which is a different thing, we'll get into that for this. But if I don't have to change anything about it specifically, like drop shadow and like colors and things like that, I never want to come back into the Elementor dashboard, if that makes sense. Like I never want to click edit with Elementor unless I absolutely have to after it's done. What I mean by that is that if I want to change this price, I want to change it on the what I would call the WordPress admin section. And like in this case, these are posts. We'll get into it. These are like individual posts in their own post type, and they have information that I can go in and change on the WordPress thing. I'm not coming into Elementor and literally changing this, right? Now, I don't know if everybody does it like this. I don't know if everybody thinks like this, but I am just like post type crazy, you could call it. I love doing that because two reasons. One, I don't like to go into Elementor unless I have to. A couple more reasons than two. Two, if you're doing that, it's going to ultimately lend itself to a lot of like copying and pasting if you ever have to do things like any more than one time. And most of the time, things are going to show up in more than one place. So that's like really annoying. And then the other thing is that if you ever have clients editing their own websites, you do not want them. You can't expect them to even understand Elementor. Like Elementor is like such a large learning curve. Think about how easy it is to change some fields in a post type rather than like do something on the Elementor side. So that would be my recommendation to you, to at least consider and change your mindset a little bit in that regard, to be more of a post type person, custom post type, custom field type person, rather than being like a hard coded or hard designed right into the page, because that was my impetus for doing this. This is one of the things. Sometimes I just do things to see if I can do them. This one ended up working out well. So that's the context, though. I'm not going to just sit here and show you how to build like a table. I'm going to show you how I actually did this, right? Okay, so with this in mind, with this piece of this in mind, let's actually look at this. So the first thing that we did here was this, like this is the page, right? So this is a simple page, which I would possibly do differently now even, but this is a page. It has like a single page template layout, which is just, it has the title, has some spacing or whatever. This pulls automatically from the thing. If you're not familiar with that, it's like a single page template. So you have whatever you want in your header each thing, so it's all consistent. You can have your title in there. You can have like a background image or whatever. And then right underneath that, you put post content in that template. And then everything from where my mouse is right here down is like on this page. Like I can't edit this directly because if we were on a different page, it would still be exactly like that. It would just have a different title. That's kind of like not even important for this, so I'm not going to go into that. But if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll make more content about that, how I set up like newer websites just from the get-go to be all consistent like that. But that's just a single page template. Like if you're playing around in Elementor, single page, that's what you're doing there. Okay, so now down here, this is simple. This is just, a heading or whatever section. And also this isn't in, I apologize, this isn't in containers because I have not switched this part of this website to containers because it's going away. So adapt it for containers if you're using containers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look into it because I would recommend using containers in Elementor now. Okay. Next thing is another section. So this is a section here, right? And I'm trying to even kind of remember how I did this. So I'm giving you the layout of this, but we're going to have to like kind of almost bounce back and forth because there's a lot of stuff going on here. The problem with this, and I'm going to give you some problems too as I come through this because this is how I do it. The problem with this is that I actually was modeling this off of JetEngine's comparison table kind of that they have with their different products. And there's no real good way to like, I wish there was like a way in the table to make it so you could always have, there kind of might have been a way for me to finagle it, but like this is not a good UI in my opinion, where like you scroll down and you can't see what these are anymore. So I wish there was a way for me to like have a, I could have done it. Like I could just go like this and do a little motion effects, sticky at the top, and then have this kind of going on. I mean, I would obviously have to put a background behind it. That's a lot though. So I was trying to do a bunch of different things, but and if you were doing it a little differently, maybe you could finagle a little differently. But for what it is, you just can't. I guess I couldn't really do it that way. There's other ways I could have done it, but I decided just it wasn't worth it. What I wanted up here was I wanted a title across. I wanted titles across each one of the columns, right? A little description. I definitely wanted to have the price per month and everything, and I wanted this most popular piece up here. Now, if you notice, while I'm going over these things, if you notice while I go over these, right, like I can edit those, there's little boxes. You go over this, there's only one big box. And the reason is because these are listing items, right? I'm giving you the layout, and then I'm going to show you how everything is probably custom post type wise, and then how we actually built each one of these things. This is a listing item. It's a listing item for a care plan post type. This is another listing item. This is like a listing, like where are we at here? This is actually a listing grid. There's like nothing over here, and then there's another column here, and then within here there's a listing grid, and each one of these is a listing item, right? So it's a care plan heading listing item is what I called it. We have 3 of them. We set it up to be three post type, posts on here. There is, I don't think there's really a query. I just ordered it, and I just did it in date because that was the easiest way to, just create them in the way that they are. So let me show you. So I'll kind of go back and forth, like I said. So this is care plans, right? So we're gonna have 3 care plans, and I made it as a custom post type, and I'll show you the post type itself as well. But I'm just trying to go one thing at a time here. Hopefully I'm not confusing you, but hopefully you kind of like have a basic knowledge and you can just kind of put this together. And again, if you have questions, let me know. Okay, so hobbyist, professional, executive, those are our care plans. I'll show you how I made that in a second. If we go back to here, we have, those are our care plans. It's going to have, you're going to see in a second, but it's going to have a title, it's going to have a description, it's going to have a price. And then I think it's going to have is featured as well, but I don't know if I fully implemented that. So we'll pop into that in a second. And then down here is our whole table, right? So there's that. I think actually what I'm going to do here is, just to make this simple, is I'm going to show you this whole top part first, because it's obviously connected to the bottom, but it's not as connected as, it's like it's connected, but like we could talk about the top first. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to just set this up for you here. So these are all of our care plans. Here's one of the care plans. Then we have the care plan attributes and everything like that. What I want to do here is I want to go, for you guys, I want to show you exactly how we did this. So I'm going to go to post types, and I'm going to go to care plans. So this is what I would have done. This is actually from the beginning. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't have any of that, but I want to build this right here, right? That we were talking about. So what am I going to need? If I don't have any of that, but I know what to build, if I'm looking at this and I want to build it in this manner, I need to create a post type and then create the custom fields for it and enter some data or whatever. And then I need to create a listing item, and then I need to create that listing grid that we had there that we saw, and we need to put the listing item in there. It's relatively straightforward, but those are the things we need to do. So if we go to post types, we can see I have a lot here. Again, I'm post type crazy person. We can talk about that more in a different video. This is what I did. I clicked add new on post type, and I came in here. Care plans, and again, random thing. I will be doing this every single time from now on. Always put the S. Put care plans or industries or services, and then put S on here. And the reason is because you can use I'll talk about this more in another video too, because I'm revamping the website, but you can use that slug. So when it goes domain / care plans / executive, you can use, somebody at some point in your life is probably going to cut off that executive thing, and they're just going to have care plans. Make sure that goes somewhere. Like if you're doing a website and you really want it to be like cohesive and as minimal as possible as far as like the work and things you have to do. There's a little bit of a weirder concept. I don't know if anybody does it that I've tried in the revamp of this, that maybe I'll explain to you in a different video, like I said. But anyway, not important in this one. Okay, so care plans, and then I just have 3 meta fields. So I have price, and this is done in JetEngine. If you do not have JetEngine, you will need JetEngine to do this. There's a link in the description. It's an affiliate link. I'd appreciate it if you use it. If not, no big deal. Just go to JetEngine and get it. Okay, so the first meta field is price. So it's just label price, name price, field, that's default. I did a field type of a number. And again, you can play around with these if you want, but if it's just you messing around with this, then you don't need to go super crazy with, mins and maxes and things that you have to do. But that's the field number 1. I just closed out of that. There we go. Okay, is featured. Added this in there as a switcher, which is like just like a yes/no switcher. I'll show you in a second. Reason being because I wanted to have that. You're gonna understand as I build this, as we like figuratively build this, why I did this stuff the way I did. Description, right? So boom, boom, WYSIWYG, pretty straightforward there as far as the thing. So again, the care plan, just, and then 3 meta fields. So we have that, right? Then once you have that, you can go over to care plans. You can click add new, and then this is what you would get if you were adding an executive one. So you throw in a title, you throw in the price. You have this little switcher here, like is featured, is not. And what this would ultimately, the reason I had this in there is because I wanted to control that most popular tag. If it was on, I wanted to show the most popular tag. If it was off, I wanted to not show it. I think I had some trouble with the switcher thing specifically, but you could honestly just have used like a radio button, and it would have worked even easier. Like, because it's definitely going to work if you're saying like yes or no. I think you have to do like true or false maybe here, or like 0 and 1. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. So description, and then just the information. Okay, so literally create the post type, create the custom fields, enter the data, and then it's out there, like it's there, right? And then that is how we ultimately get these things. right? We have the data for that. I'll show you the listing item now. So if we go back over to, let's go here, let's go listings. There's a lot of them because when you have a lot of post types, you have a lot of those. Care plan heading. So this is our care plan heading. We'll go right here, actually right here. It helps to do this stuff like kind of in order too. Like I really like to lay stuff out a lot of times where I go, like for instance, post type, right? And then, so you'd have to create the post type, create the fields, and then you would actually create the plans. And then that would be kind of this step, right? So you're just adding new plans and, putting the information in. Then your next thing would be like, okay, now I have the data. Now I go to the listing item, and this listing item is how it's going to show up. And again, this is not, there's nothing super crazy here. This is a heading. This is text editor. This is a dynamic field JetEngine, and the reason is because this is specifically because of formatting the number. So if you just do, once you have JetEngine, you have a dynamic field widget in here, and then format number, and you can play around with the separators and everything. I may have done this down here as well, just a $/ string here, like %S for the thing, because again, it's just 1400 is what's coming out of that field. So we're just formatting it differently based on that. And then per month is just a little heading or whatever. Nothing super special going on here. Up at the top, I put a little bit of a spacer because I have no idea why. I don't know. I think maybe I put margin and I just didn't want to do that. I don't know. What's the visibility like on this? Because this is going to tell us sort of what we got here. So I did it directly to professional, I think. But what I would have done is I would have gone, I think both of these are just visible on professional is what I did, because you're looking at this, and if you're not super familiar with it, these are variable, right? It's giving you an idea of what executive looks like, but you can change the preview settings to professional, and then the information would change, the data would change, right? So that's what I did for this dynamic visibility stuff again, and that's the only real part I don't know. I don't want to say that yet because I don't know. I can't remember exactly how I did the table yet. But my point is, what you could do here is, if you really wanted to get that thing to work, you could do something like visibility, and you could say page and post. I believe. Wait a second, actually. How would we do this real quick? Can I think of how to do this? If I sat here and thought about it, I could. I don't know if I really want to do that though. But it's more like meta field, and then you would go like is featured. Is there a field featured? There it is. So it's like is featured, and then if it's like, if it is equal to, I don't know if it's supposed to be 0, 1, true, false for that switcher or whatever. It's like is featured 1. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try it. Whatever, who gives a shit? I don't care. All right, so I'm gonna try it here, just live on air. Then go over here, refresh this. I don't know what's gonna happen too. I don't even know if the switcher's even on. I will tell you too, this takes a long time to load. This is doing all of this dynamically is not an easy task. It's taken this long because it's like we made some changes, but I gotta say, like, this is really nifty. But again, I would probably consider like Nitro Pack so it can cache some of the stuff. Okay, wow. Okay, that might have actually worked slightly. Interesting. Okay, so like if we switch this on now, and we click yeah, if this works, I'm pretty good at this. I don't know why I didn't do that though. If I don't know, but so we're switching that back on, so we should potentially have the thing above here now. I think maybe if I did it right. No. Okay. I don't know off the top of my head right now. The point is, what I'm trying to accomplish there is dynamically show this thing, and it's real easy somehow. You take the field, so the field that you want to do that's in this custom post type is featured, right? And all you're doing is, if the switcher is set to yes, then show this thing. And if it's not, then you don't show it. I've done it many times before with different stuff. I just can't tell you exactly how to do it now. So there's that. So might want to figure that out. Should I figure it out right now? I'm thinking about it. There's an even easier way to do this if you just did a radio button. Should we just change it real quick for you guys? I feel like we should. Let's try this. And then, so we want to show it. So we're going to do it like this. So I apologize, but let's do, make sure we're on show. And this is the dynamic visibility plugin, by the way. I'm pretty sure this is free. You could get the pro version in the description as well. It's dynamic.oo. If you'd like, affiliate link again. But let's go back here. So we're on this thing. We're going to go is featured. That's our, what's it called? We're going to say equal to yes. And then we'll just go over here and we'll just fix this real quick. Why don't we do it? Why don't we do it, guys? Why don't we do it? Post types, here's what we're doing. So we're going over to care plans again. We're going down to is featured. I like the switcher concept, but it's not necessary. So let's just do, you can do radio, you can do repeater, it doesn't really matter. You come down here, you say yes. So all we're doing here is we are just we're just changing that field. We changed the field type to yes or no radio buttons instead of a switcher, because a switcher, I'm sure there's a way to do it with a switcher, it's just being a jerk. So there we go. And then we're going to click yes. And we're going to click update. And hypothetically that will work, but I don't know. So we're going to reload. And then if that did work, there'll be a most popular thing over executive and none of the other ones, I believe, if it worked. Get a drink. Really long time. There you go. Okay. Congratulations, we've won. Okay, so if you want to do that, that's a really cool thing to do, and I'm gonna show you real quick, right? The reason that this is so cool, and it'll make more sense down here too, because this is way more of a kind of important part. And again, you're probably not going to change this stuff that often. I'm giving you concepts that you could change more things, that you could apply to more things, right? This might change once every few years. But when you need to change it, it's like, oh, I can just pop in some new prices on the front end rather than coming into the back end of Elementor and like changing things, maybe messing stuff up by like dragging things around or like clicking, making new prices and things. Like you don't want to be doing that. I'm telling you, just change it on the front end and it reflects on the actual. Change it on like the WordPress admin section. It'll reflect on the front end, and you're just gonna like your life more. So the point is, if we wanted to make them all most popular, we could just do that real quick, just by in the WordPress side, not the front end. Okay, I think we've pretty much figured that out. Okay, I think this is I feel like we've got a good grasp on how we did all that. The last piece of it is to come back in here, slap a listing grid in, which is this listing grid from the JetEngine thing. Make it 3 columns in our case, make it 3 posts, make sure they're ordered correctly based off of the way that you entered them into based on the way that you created them. I'm sure there's a way to do manual order and stuff, but in this case there's just 3, so just put it in one way or the other and then just set it to date, ascending or descending, and they'll show up appropriately. But one little thing that you're probably gonna have to do is like adjust the width of this column to kind of match this bottom, because they're not connected in that sense. Like this top part is not part of the table that we're about to talk about. So that's the only other thing. And again, this looks awful on mobile. So you really, like, for everyone, not just you. I mean, I could make this look a little bit better, but like you're always going to have to scroll here. And I hate, like, this looks so, for how great this looks on desktop, you almost have to go with the other route where it's like the pricing table thing on mobile, unless you want to scroll horizontally, because there's no real good way to actually do this that I've seen. Maybe there is. If you find a way, let me know, because I would love to know that. But I'm pretty sure even on JetEngine's website, it's kind of like that, and it's really awful. So I don't know exactly what to say there. It's a tough situation, and it's one small reason why I moved away from this. However, let's continue. All right, so now we have our top there. That's all good. That was relatively straightforward. Now we're actually to the table thing. Now, the table thing was, this is one of the first tables that I ever kind of like made with JetEngine. It did work really well, but it's a table. So the first thing I believe you have to do is you have to go to JetEngine, like Crocoblock or somewhere, and you have to go. It's definitely not there. Wait, maybe it is. JetEngine dashboard. I apologize. Should have been more prepared. It's somewhere in here. You have to turn it on. I think it's right here. I think it's JetEngine, yes. Okay, and then you have all these extra things. Now, I will tell you, and I'm not going to go deep on this because I can't remember. I think I was going to try to use custom content types somehow, but I don't think I needed to, the way that I ended up doing this. So it didn't really matter. What I was trying to do is I was going to try to connect the two things together, and I don't think I ended up doing that based off of the way that I made those two sections. They are connected in a way, but they're not. I don't actually think they're actually connected. So we'll discover that again together in a second. But you have to turn this on. If you want to build tables, you got to build dynamic tables builder on. And I think it's just going to be sitting there for you to turn on. Sometimes JetEngine has stuff that you like free download, like free add-on downloads from their website, but I'm pretty sure that is just go to JetEngine, click on the JetEngine option underneath there, and then turn that on. So once you have that, then you have access to the table builder. Now let's get into this. Okay. So here's how I did this. So you go to table builder now. You have that option. Added a table. What does the table look like? Well, we called it website care plans. We have a query that we'll talk about. You can fetch like data, which is really nice that they oftentimes give you that in the front end. You have some table styles. You have all this stuff. You have the columns. Now let's just take a step back and think about a table for a minute, right? So a table is columns that you have to set up, and then it's rows, which in this case is going to be like individual posts that we haven't chatted about yet. We have our care plans, right? And our care plans are the actual main headings. Now, there's definitely a different way that I could have done this. But you have to understand that, and this might not be the best way. Maybe you listen to this and you think of a better way, which would be great. Let me know. But the thing is, the goal that I was trying to achieve was I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to go back in here and like change like check marks and stuff like that. I wanted to like automatically have this happen based off the information I put in on the front end. So the way I ended up going about this was we'll talk about the table in a second, right? Because we have to set up the columns and then each one of the post types and everything. Actually, you know what? Let me see, how difficult is this? No, we'll talk about this real quick. So these are the columns. You can see columns here in the table builder. Column number 1 is the attribute, is what I called it. The attribute is the attribute of the care plan, right? So if we pop back to here, this is column 1. These are the attributes. You call it features, you call it, whatever, the whatever of the care plan. So that's column 1. Then, damn it, there we go. Okay, column 2, there's 4 columns in this table. Column 2 is hobbyist, which is our first first type of care plan. Second one is professional. Third one is executive. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about like these settings in here because each one is like, you can do like raw value or you can do template. Now template is basically another listing item just inside a table. So that's how you get like all this dynamicness to this. Okay, so now let's talk about the next thing that I did though. So I had the table. I don't even know what order I did this in. I probably did this one first because I needed some data to actually understand what was going on there. So if we go to, where are we going here? JetEngine. If we go back to post types, right here actually now, we can go here. Actually right here. So if we go back to post types, we can see we had care plans, but we also have care plan attributes. So we made care plans. That was our 3 plans. We made care plan attributes. These are going to be all of the attributes, right? So WordPress hosting, SMTP, whatever, accessibility integration, like each one of those is going to be its own post, right? Now, you're probably sitting there, as I am, as I recount how I did this, and you're thinking like, Mark, why didn't you just somehow do this where like all of those things are in the like underneath the other website care plans somehow, and like you could like check them off. I'm thinking about that in my head now, and I think that is one thing I wanted to do. But and actually there's probably a different way slightly to do it as well. But the issue is with the way that I wanted to create this, there's more things in here. So I'm thinking I don't want to push you guys off on the wrong path here, because I don't want to like suggest something that doesn't work. But we're all builders here, so we can kind of all like play around with different things. The only other thing that I could think of is you need a list, right? You need a list of those attributes. You could have put those attributes in like, you could have dumped all of those into like a checkbox field, or maybe gotten them from somewhere else or whatever. Maybe a glossary. I've not messed with the glossary enough. Maybe a glossary might have worked, but I don't know if you can have a glossary and then also have like the description field. You'll see why this is like the description thing. Let's just back up. Okay, I'm just giving you too much information one time. I apologize. Care plan attributes, right, are going to be those things on the first column that we went through. What we're going to have in here is we're going to have description. The description is specifically the description of what that is. They're the things that we read underneath the tooltips of each one. So we want to associate a tooltip text with that other thing, so we can, again, quickly add, subtract, and everything like that. Edit from the admin. Hobbyist, okay? Hobbyist is the reason we have hobbyist, professional, executive within the care plan attributes things is because we need to assign them to there. And the way that I did that was I went radio field. For each one of them, I went radio field. I said allow custom values to be added. I said included and not included. And then what custom does is it adds another section that you'll see here in a second. So it's like it really works very well when you visualize it on the front end. So I did that for each one of them. Now let's go over here so you can actually visualize that. These are all of our care plan attributes. We have 23 rows of that table. Term again, integration, whatever, right? So let's go to one that has a full example here for you. Let me see here. So one of the examples would be, what's a good example? A good example would be like hourly rate discount, okay? We're going to come into care plan attributes. We're going to go to hourly rate discount. We're going to click into this, and we're going to see what we look like here. So description. Whatever is in this box, I will show you on the front end when we actually design the thing, but whatever's in this box is going to go in the tooltip. So I'm going to write, this is a test, just so we can see that when we get there, okay? So this is a test. Hourly rate discount is a feature or an attribute, let's say attribute, of the care plans that we offer. This is what it is. Hobbyist. Is it included in hobbyist? Is it included, not included, or something else that we want to write there? If it's included, we're going to show a check mark. We'll show you how to do that. If it's not included, we're going to show an X. And if it's neither of those, then we're going to write something here, right? So in hobbyist, it's not included. Ta-da, not included, right? And where did we go? There we go. Okay, if it's in professional, we're going to write this, right? So we wrote that in there. And also in executive, we're going to write that. So boom. See? Now it doesn't make any sense because you're like, how did that get there? Right? We're gonna have listing items for like kind of each one of these, and we're gonna talk about that. But I'm showing you the data. So there you go. So that's all that. Now, just so you can kind of get one more, feel for this, let's just do like test, and let's do hello, and we'll do like included, not included, and test. And we'll say publish. And I want to show you the power of this, okay? I want to show you the power. If you needed, I did that, and here's the example. You just added a new service called test, right? To your care plans, and you wanted to add it real quick. That took me 5 seconds. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna refresh this. This is gonna take way longer than what I just did, and it's gonna show up here. Okay. Now, I will tell you though, the ordering thing is a little bit of a pain in the ass because I think it's probably just, in order, this way. So you probably have to like change the date or something or however you order them. But you see how easily I got that in there, right? That's the idea. That's the whole idea really. Is that to change this table, I am not coming in Elementor and messing with stuff and design stuff and everything like that. I'm not copying and pasting anything. I am just in the back end of WordPress inputting data or deleting entries, or, editing posts. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So that was a lot there. Okay. So now we kind of have an idea of that. We have our table builder still. We have our query builder. I'm going to show the table builder. There's really not much going on the table builder after you set up the columns, because you just need to come back and edit and put in the column templates after you do those templates specifically. The actual query that you want in our case is going to, let's talk about the query for a second, because it's like talking about, so you want to set up your query based off of what you want to show on that table, right? So in our case, we're going to do care plan attributes because those are the things that are listed in that table. We want order by, you could change this, but I did by order by date from lowest to highest. So I put in just in order the WordPress hosting first, and you saw just test last. So that's how it's sorting that. And I'm pretty sure that's it. Pagination, post per page -1. The reason I did that is just so it's all on one page. There's no like extra stuff or whatever. I don't even remember exactly why I did that, but I'm sure there was some sort of issue that if you don't have -1, then you're going to have like multiple pages of a table or something, and you don't want that. So play around with that. But again, I mean, you could change these things. I'm just telling you how I did it. Okay. So then when you have that query, you got to dump it into the data query for your table builder so it knows what it is. You actually like fetch data to kind of get an idea of that too. I don't know. I don't even know what that did. But I think it's if you want to change it or whatever. But okay. So we have our query. We have our table kind of set up. But what we don't have at this point, if we're thinking about where you would be if you're trying to follow along in this, which I apologize because I'm not rebuilding it, but hopefully you're getting some out of it. If you're at this point right now, what you're going to have is a table with maybe some, it's probably not going to have any data on it yet because it's not like proper, there's nothing set up. What we haven't talked about is we haven't talked about how this information actually got into the table. We have all the info, it's ready to be populated, but we didn't talk about the actual table yet. So let's talk about that. So if we go back, I'm going to X out of some of this stuff so I can properly handle this. So if we go back here, okay, to our page, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drop in a dynamic table widget. That's what this big whole thing is down here, right? You're going to select the table that you're talking about, and then we're going to go in and we're going to show exactly what it is. At this point, if you dropped in a table, there's, again, like I said, there's probably going to be nothing there, especially if you had the templates selected here, like here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you this is actually kind of the last step. If you have everything set up there and you have the table ready and you have the query ready, the only last thing is to just create these listing items and assign them in here. So we have 4 listing items that we need to talk about. The listing item that is really showing right here, 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 and here. And actually these 3 are kind of like the same. I just had to change them because they're each like referencing a different thing. All right. So if we go to, I believe we could just go to here, actually. No, right here. All right. So if we go care plan, attributes, care plan attributes. I think this is our, yeah. All right. So this is the first one. We're creating a listing item. You're going to want to go to listing item. You're going to add new listing item, and you're going to want to, what is the, create a listing item. Here's how you do this. JetEngine. Here's how to get exactly what I'm getting. Listings. Add. Oh dear. Go back. add new, posts, right here. If you're doing the same words, attributes, care plan attributes, sorry. Set your listing name, and then just obviously keep this on Elementor. And then that's what you'll get to be here. Okay? Now, what are we looking at? We are looking at that left-hand column with the name of the thing and a tooltip, really. So it's a column. It's a section in a column. Nothing special going on there. It's a text editor set to post type, or I'm sorry, post title, because it's literally just going to take like WordPress hosting, SMTP, Termageddon, integration, whatever. It's going to take those, so that's fine. Style it however you want, whatever. The one thing I would say is I set it to inline, and I put a little bit of padding on the right side, ended up just to style this, because right next to it, I wanted to have a tooltip. Now, the tooltip is, well, actually, it's an icon, okay? This is the way that I did the tooltips. There might be other ways to do tooltips. This is just an icon. It's like a standard Elementor icon that I put there, a little question mark. So they're all going to have a question mark next to them. And then I guess I put margin -5 again just to kind of like space it up a little bit better and easier. And then where did I get this tooltip? Which tooltip did I use? See, so this is what I mean. This is the pro version of Dynamic OO, and it has tooltips. But I did not use that because I'm pretty sure I used... Yes, I used the JetEngine. Okay, there's one other thing that maybe you have, but if you have JetEngine, then you might have this. JetTricks. If you have the full Crocoblock suite, then you have this. If not, maybe you need Dynamic OO. But again, somehow you need a tooltip. Okay, and for this I use JetTricks. It's another JetEngine Crocoblock product that you should check out if you haven't, because that's how I got this. So I clicked yes on the tooltip. The description, or the actual thing that's going to pop up in it, is pulled from the description meta field under does it say features? Yeah. Well, really it would be this one right here, care plan attributes descriptions, right? So yeah, so whatever, you're not going to have all those custom post types. You're going to have the care plan attributes. So just make sure it's set to the right description. The care plan attributes description, because that's what we have written in all those things. You can play around with the placement. I have it on right. I have use arrow. I don't know exactly what that means. Oh, the arrow. This is the little arrow here, this little thing coming out of this box. Animation, whenever the mouse enters and everything, if there's any delay. Z index is like all the way at the top, 999. Distance. This is just styling stuff, right? And then style it, however you want it for your website. So padding and everything like that. It's pretty robust here. I do like this JetTricks thing. And then that's what you get. Okay, so you have a little tooltip. It's very nice. Again, you can put whatever you want in here based off of the other thing. You don't have to do this every single time. This is actually the only way to do this, like this robust of a thing. There's no way you're going to edit this every single one. That'd be ridiculous. So there you go. So that is our first one then, right? So what that's doing is that's taking that. So this is a template, right? This template is called Care Plan Attribute Titles. Once you have this set up the way you want, you might have to edit it a little bit, right? But once you have this set up the way you want, you go back over to Table Builders and you say, in our first column, in every one of our first columns, I want to use this template, the template that we just created. And then what that gives you is the length of the table that you've laid out, as far as that like -1 thing that we put in there, as far as how many table rows you want and everything. We queried all of those post types, so it goes through and it says, okay, put this in the first one based off of what we said, put this in the second one, third, fourth, whatever, and then boom, right? So that's what that does. So at this point, if you've done that, you're going to have a table, and it's probably just going to have the first column filled out. Okay, so we got that. Next thing we want to do is we want to look at the hobbyist. So we'll go right down the line here. So hobbyist attributes, I believe this is it. Could be wrong. No, this is it. Okay. So now what we need to do, and these are all going to be the same. They're just going to be different dynamically selected things. So the way that I decided to do this, it may be the only way per se, is one listing item. And this one is a little abstract, so you have to, base because it's based off of like different factors, because we have those yes, no, and other things. There's 3 things that could happen, right? We know that the way that we've set this up, inside our thing here, there's 3 things that could be, there's 3 options that could be placed in any one of these things. It could be a yes, which will be a check mark in our case. It could be a no, which is an X, and it could be some random string of text that we've entered. So we need to account for those, and we need to make them show up when they need to show up. Okay? So let's go one at a time. So we want a check mark. So all I did was I put an icon, I put a check mark. Boom. But if you just do that, then they're always going to have a check mark. You don't want that. So what we did here is we went over to visibility. This is our dynamic visibility thing. We clicked show. We clicked page and post. We came down to post field, and we did hobbyist. And what we are referencing here is, let's see here. What we're referencing is really like this meta field. And we'll talk about test, okay, because we just did that. So this is what we're referencing. We're referencing this variable, whatever this variable has in it, right? When do we want, if hobbyist, because we're in the hobbyist row, if hobbyist has, when do we want hobbyist to say a check mark? We only want to say a check mark when it's equal to included, right? Let's get out of that. So when it's equal to included, we're going to have that, which, why did I put true? Pause. Okay. I have no idea why I did this, but I think the reason that I did this was because I couldn't get like included to work or something like that, or was because like the other values were never going to have true in them or something. I don't know exactly why, but I'll explain what I did here. The value of included, of checking included, I have set to true. You can make it set to whatever you want. This is what it's going to say. This is what it's going to, the actual value of it's going to be. You can make it 1, 0. I mean, you can make it whatever you want. I would actually probably say that this is a better way to do this, so it's not like not included. It is probably better to do it in this fashion, because this is like the human readable thing. This is more of like the back end thing. It doesn't really matter, but just so you understand what's happening here. When somebody checks included in one of those things, it says included on the front end, but the system actually thinks it says true is the value. And then same thing for not included, it says false. This is actually a better way to do this. So let's take that back, and let's go back here. So we have our icon, and we want to set it to visibility, and we want it to, like, when, in this case, when the hobbyist field says true, included, like equal to true, because that's what it thinks, that's coming out of there, then we want to show it, right? And I have this turned, no, this isn't important. This is and. I don't think there's anything else going on here. Yeah, okay. So when it's true, it's going to be on there. When it's not, it won't be on there. It's that simple, right? And then the next one, this would be not included, right? Or false. So we're going to come down here. We're going to say hobbyist included false. Beautiful, right? And and the thing is, those are radio fields, so you're never going to have an overlap here, right? You can only be included or not included or some random string, right? So on this one, I did this hobbyist, right? And really what that would be is that's like whatever's like kind of in there, okay? So then if you come over to, that's only if you have like something in that this extra thing like we did down here, right? Test. So if you come down here, it's the same thing, post or not. What did I do here? Might have done something different here. Boys. Pause. This is so annoying that they don't like show you what you are and are not doing with this. Oh. Get the ID hobbyist true. Okay, I think I did have a problem here. Okay. Good thing we did this. Okay, so down here, I'm going to have to potentially put this in the description maybe or something. So what I did here was if value, so value equals get post meta of get the ID of hobbyist. And then if value does not equal true and value doesn't equal false, then return this. Okay. You know what? There actually might be a way to do this straight through here now. Oh, I don't know what that was. Nope. So here was my problem. Okay, here's my problem. You could solve it with that code, or you can figure out a different way. I'll get you that code. I'll put it in the description or somewhere. But I'm gonna just show it on the screen here again, just so you could definitely have it, so you could pause the screen. But I'm gonna show you exactly what. Take a look at that while I explain this, just in case. I'll put it somewhere, but just in case you need it. Here's what happened. So the first one is if it's true. The second one is if it's false. The third one needs to be if it's neither of those, then show this. What was happening for me is that it wasn't showing. I don't remember exactly what's happening, but it wasn't showing because I had neither, and there's no real way to, like, seems like via this UI to have it say neither. All I really needed was to have like a way to make two of these things, which I feel like there definitely might be a way. I just don't know if I did it. But regardless, that ended up working, and that was like, again, it's not true, it's not false, show this. Because if it's neither of the first two check marks, then it's the third one, right? And again, what I'm doing here, you might not even need to do it in this way. Like, you might think of a different way to do it. As far as like your setup, like your business model might even be different, so you don't have to like write stuff in there. So, but yeah, so I apologize about that, because I feel like I feel like this multiple metas thing, I thought for sure somewhere in here, all you would need to do is like not equal to true, not equal to false. Because I tried to write, I remember, I was trying to write that in there in, if you can think about it in this stage, because we have some here. Think about like hobbyist, and then like not equal. So not equal to, all you would need is not equal to, and then be able to write true and false in here. That's all you would need, because that would be the same thing. It's not equal to true, not equal to false, show it. So yeah, I don't know. Apologize about that, but there's the code. I mean, it works. It just, it's just a pain. So there. So yeah, I'll give you that. All right. So the last thing really is the other two. After you have this though, after you save this, then you go over to Table Builder and you select the whatever you called it right in here, and then it pops in. It would pop in this field, right? Like it would pop in all of these. Pertaining to whatever is written on the left, right? So there you go. The other two templates are exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the actual fields, if you will. Like for instance, let's actually go back to that, and let's go to professional. So they're exactly the same. Like you could just do one and then copy it over. It's going to look exactly the same. The only difference is going to be right here. And then when you go to change this, instead of hobbyist, it's going to say professional. And the reason is because now we're talking about the stuff in the professional field rather than the hobbyist field of our care plan attribute posts. So there's that. And then down here, our visibility field, you would also have to change some of this. So it'd be like post meta, get the ID, professional. The worst part about this is that if you ever change these names, and I thought about this because I did end up wanting to change the names. If you change the names of the plans, then you have to make sure you change the names of the plans, like in all these different places, right? So it's not ideal, but the likelihood that you're going to change names is probably slightly less. There's probably less of a likelihood that you're going to change the names rather than like add more things and everything like that. So yeah. All right. So I think I want to say that's pretty much, after you do that, then you come over to the table and you put the template in here, and then you're good to go there as well. At this point, I think you pretty much have your table. And you have all your stuff in there. And again, the value to this, if you're going to go this route, don't be copying and pasting shit. Like, do it like this. The value to this is that if at any point you want to get rid of something, you go in, you delete the post, it's gone. Like, you don't need to come in Elementor and delete stuff and move things around or whatever. You just delete the post. If I want to delete 60-minute strategy call right now, I go into, where are we going here? Go into care plan attributes. And then I scroll down to 60-minute strategy call. I press trash. come back over here, I let this reload for 5 minutes, and then it'll be gone, right? So that's the point. I mean, maybe it's small value for you. I think it's tremendous value for me because I don't ever have to come in here and, you know, copy and paste, do styling and everything. Plus, you get the cool tool tips and everything that you would have had to do manually. I mean, I don't like to do things manually and copy and paste. I'd much rather, you know, the last thing about that too is this is more of a broader specific, you know, broader than just this. But if you're doing that stuff, if you're copying and pasting like, you know, posts and stuff like that, you are going to have an awful time styling all of that. See, it's gone. There you go. So you're going to have an awful time styling that because every single one of those now is like a new instance of something that you have to style. They're not all connected. Build the design one time and then fill the data in and it'll repeat. Like, just think about that in everything that you do, not just this table thing. Guys, I really hope that this was helpful. I'm sorry. I feel a little bad that, you know, I didn't like fully rebuild this for you. Hopefully my, you know, recounting of how I did this wasn't super duper confusing. If it was, like I said, you know, leave questions. You know, more than happy to chat. But again, the bigger thing that I want to talk about here is the way that, you know, I am in this channel is, one, think about this before you implement it. But if you want to implement it, that's how we implemented it. So think about it. Make sure it makes sense for your business before you go and do all that work. And then the second thing is, if anytime you do something like this, have that in mind that you want to build it one time and then scale it rather than be the designer like constantly and changing all this stuff. It's a waste of time. And if you want to grow your business and you want to like scale this stuff that you're doing, you cannot be in the trenches of Elementor for days and days and days. There's obviously you have to build a lot of stuff, but don't make your life harder than it needs to be. Please embrace custom post types and like listing items in this case, or if it's Elementor, like use the damn loop builder now that they have finally, right? Like those are the types of things that you need to be doing. Focus on that. That's the key to actually building good websites and not wanting to like, you know, pull your hair out with the amount of extra stupid work that you have to do, right? So that's my takeaway here. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Like I said, I greatly appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Descriptions, links, and everything like that in the description for just, you know, any details, any things, all the things that we use and everything. But yeah, thank you guys again. I greatly appreciate it, and I will talk to you in the next one.